Okay, it's time to rest ourselves, and for this guided meditation, it's on trusting our intuition. Grace is in every moment that we are truly present. It is a divine gift that we have made possible by God. So welcome, and we'll just start to relax. Close your eyes. Let's take a moment to settle in and make yourself comfortable. Now with your eyes closed, start connecting with your body. Notice, is there any tension? Anything you are holding? If you can, consciously relax each muscle, starting from the top of your head and working your way down, all the way to your toes. As you release any tension, imagine it flowing out of your body and into the ground. Now take a deep breath and use your exhalation to release even farther. Just let it go. Breathe deeply and slowly, in and out through your nose. And as you breathe, become aware of the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. Allow your breath to flow naturally now, without trying to control it. Pay attention to the rise and the fall of your chest and the sensation of air moving in and out of your nose. Let's practice mindful breathing for a few moments to let go of any thoughts or any distractions that may arise by simply focusing on your breath and you're letting yourself be present in this moment. Good. Now that you're settled in, I wonder if you can visualize a door in front of you. Imagine this door is made out of beautiful, shining wood with a golden handle. As you approach the door, you feel a sense of excitement and anticipation. This door represents your intuition. It is always there, waiting for you to open and to trust what's inside. It is that voice of the higher self. You know that behind this door lies your intuition and is waiting to guide you. So take a deep breath and reach out to grasp your golden handle. You feel the touch of the handle in your hand as you turn it and push the door open. As the door opens, you're greeted by a bright, warm, shining light that seems to fill the room and farther beyond. That light is coming from within you, and it represents your inner wisdom and your intuition. Now, let's step further into the light and feel yourself being enveloped by a comforting energy. This energy is the voice of your intuition. and it is always there to guide you. Now it has totally awakened you, and you look around that room and you'll see a large glowing orb in the center. This orb represents healing energies, and your intuition is there to help you. And it's the best channel for them to use them in a selfless way for the benefit of others. As you approach the orb, you'll see that it is surrounded by a soft, white, radiant light. Now, reach out and touch it, and place your hand on the orb, feeling the warm energy flow into your body. You'll feel a sense of peace and clarity wash over you. As that little voice or that intuition begins to guide you. Just take a deep breath and repeat the following phrases to yourself. I trust in my intuition. I am open to receiving guidance from within. I release all doubt and fear. We'll stay in this for a moment. It is important to remember the energy for healing comes from the universe. You are simply the conduit for the energy to flow through. Now imagine that warm and comforting light is becoming brighter and brighter. It is filling your body, your mind, and your soul. Let go of any expectations or attachments. This is not about controlling the energy or directing it or moving it in a specific way. It's about trusting the energy that will flow through you where it is needed. As we repeat to ourselves, I let go of my ego and allow the energy to flow through me. So allow yourself to become more and more relaxed. Take another deep breath and imagine that the energy is flowing from the universe and into you, the recipient. Repeat to yourself, I am the energy. I trust the energy is flowing through me. And allow this energy to flow freely through you. So as we close this session, slowly bring your attention back to the present moment. Take a deep breath and feel the vitality of your intuition. It is fully awakened. Embrace it. Listen to it. And trust that it will lead you toward your highest good. So let's have faith in ourself and allow your abilities to flow through for guidance. And when you're ready, open your eyes and appreciate the environment around you.
Thank you, John. And I like that we touched on mindfulness because that's going to be an important part of my talk today. And I was just thinking, it's funny how spirit works sometimes, where it just so happens that on the day where I wanted to talk about the middle way, which is a concept from Buddhism, we have visitors from Japan. And I also remember that some of you expressed interest in seeing a little bit more of Eastern tradition blended into what we talk about. So I thought this was something that was kind of on my mind. So I figured it'd be a good topic. Hopefully I don't get anything too wrong on the Buddhist front. I'm not a scholar, but I know a thing or two. So I wanted to start with a personal angle, kind of how this shows up in my life, what I want to talk about. I see a pattern within myself. It's a persistent thorn in my side. I notice that I do a sort of pendulum swing. Some days or weeks I'll feel happy, connected, and peaceful. Other times I'll feel grumpy, disconnected, or selfish. Some days I'll feel like it all makes sense and everything is going well. Some days I feel like the universe is against me, it's all hopeless, and I should just give up. Maybe that's not a bad thing for a minister in training to say, but I don't really think so, because one of my promises to you guys is to always keep it real, and this is a very real pattern that I notice in myself. And I notice it's much easier for me to see the good when I'm relaxed and comfortable. I know that's shocking, right? When things are easy, I'm in a better mood. Like when I'm at home relaxing with Ashley, I think, things aren't so bad. I should calm down and remember all the good that is in my life. Then the next morning, when it's 5 a.m. and the dog woke me up in the middle of the night and the coffee is taking too long and I'm about to go to a job that I'm not crazy about, which I can't wait to do this full time, by the way, it can all vanish in an instant. Suddenly, the goodness that I could recognize the night before feels like a lie. And then, as I wrestle with this, sometimes I think I just need to stop caring about pain. If I could stop caring about pain, these things wouldn't bother me so much. So I tried to deny myself, to say my pain doesn't matter, what happens to me doesn't matter, just accept it all. Honestly, that can help to blunt the pain and to keep me more centered and even. But then I get a new problem. I notice that while the challenges of life don't bother me as much, the joys of life don't excite me as much. I feel flat and experience what is called anhedonia in psychology, which means an inability to take pleasure in what normally would make me happy. I start to feel like the author of Lamentations, all is vanity, it's all terrible. It seems pretty bleak to me. It's not a way I want to live. Honestly, it's exhausting going between these two states. Do I really have to choose between peaks and valleys, excuse me, or one flat, boring plain? To flee discomfort and cling to pleasure, or to not care about anything at all? The former makes me subject to external conditions, and the latter makes me feel like I'm not even alive. Surely there's a better way. Surely these are not the only options in God's great universe. Well, it turns out I'm not the first to feel this way or to think about this problem. Far from it, in fact. Thinkers across the ages have grappled with this issue. One pretty famous example is a man named Siddhartha Gautama, better known as the Buddha. Tradition holds that Buddha was born into a life of luxury, described as a prince whose father sought to protect him from the harms and sufferings of the world. He had access to every material pleasure and comfort of the time. He grew up that way, married, and had a son. To the outside observer, it may have looked like he had it all. Yet in his late 20s, he ventured into the outside world and encountered what Buddhists call the four sights. These were an old man, a sick man, a dead body, and a wandering holy seeker. These harsh realities of the world forced him to grapple with mortality and suffering, but also opened his eyes to the possibility of a better way of being. He realized that worldly material comforts could not eliminate suffering by themselves. In what is called the Great Renunciation, he cut off his hair, left everything behind, and set off to gain greater spiritual understanding. Buddha had experienced the life of indulgence and luxury, life of the world or of the flesh, one could say, and had found it lacking. He would then take a swing towards the opposite end of the spectrum, a life of asceticism, self-denial, self-mortification, and self-inflicted pain. He studied with respected spiritual leaders and mastered their meditation techniques. He then spent some years with ascetics, practicing their ways. He ate almost nothing, held his breath for long periods of time, and put his body through extreme hardship. He was attempting to transcend suffering through sheer willpower and detachment. He became skeletal and weak. One day, the story goes, he was meditating by a river and heard someone tuning a lute. If the strings were too tight, they snapped. If they were too loose, they made no sound. Only the right balance of tension would produce beautiful music. This was like a eureka moment for him. He realized that his extreme self-denial was not working any better than his life of indulgence. Once again, he thought there must be a better way. He would later have his Bodhi tree enlightenment experience. We might say here he went into the silence. Spirit moved him, and he had a flash of insight and understanding. The result of this insight was the middle way, a method to avoid swinging between extremes, a way to enjoy life fully with all of its peaks and valleys. To simply maximize peaks and minimize valleys would be a path of self-indulgence and, one could say, hedonism. We would fear and resist the valleys and chase and cling the peaks. This is one of my swings. Our good would be completely determined by outside conditions. On top of that, there is a concept from psychology called the hedonic treadmill. Research shows that our peaks need to get higher and higher to bring the same amount of pleasure. It's a similar concept as a chemical addiction. You need more and more of the chemical to get the same effect. This can lead to destructive extremes. To make matters worse, psychological research also shows that people have what is called the negativity bias. This means losses and negative events impact us much more than an equal positive event. With finances, the ratio is around 2 to 1, so losing $10 hurts twice as much as finding $10 feels good. But this ratio can get even higher when it comes to social situations. Some research says as high as 5 to 1. So, for example, it could take 5 compliments to counteract 1 negative comment. So, let's be kind in how we speak. This bias developed over evolutionary time to help us survive. Think of it this way. You're walking in the jungle and you hear a noise. Maybe it's the wind, maybe it's a tiger. Assuming the worst can help you avoid threats to your survival. Over thousands of years, this led us to naturally focus more on the negative than the positive. It makes sense for pure survival, but it is not well suited for thriving and living a happy life. On the other hand, to remove peaks and valleys entirely would be the path of asceticism, self-denial, and in some cases, it can lead to nihilism. It can leave life feeling dull, empty, and painful. At some point, one may wonder what the point of existing is at all. I refuse to accept that these are the only two options, and so have spiritual and philosophical thought leaders across time and space. The Buddha laid out his description of the middle way in what is called the Eightfold Path. The aspects are right view, seeing life clearly as it is, recognizing impermanence, the nature of suffering, and the possibility of freedom. Right intention, committing to kindness, letting go of harm, moving away from greed, hatred, or delusion. Right speech, speaking truthfully, kindly, and helpfully, avoiding gossip, harsh words, or exaggeration. Right action, behaving in ways that don't cause harm. For example, nonviolence, honesty, respect in relationships. Right livelihood, choosing work that doesn't exploit others or conflict with their values. Right effort, cultivating wholesome states and gently letting go of unhelpful ones. Balanced energy, neither lazy nor burnout forcing. Right mindfulness, clear, present moment awareness of body, feelings, mind, and phenomena. This is where we catch the swings between grasping and fleeing as they arise. Right concentration, developing focused, calm attention, often through meditation, that supports insight and stability. That all sounds pretty good to me. Something I love about New Thought and Unity, and what drew me here, is that we don't discriminate on where wisdom and truth come from. We permit ourselves to look everywhere and anywhere for truth, including within ourselves. This allows us to see connections and repeating themes across different times, people, and cultures. Are there any Eric Butterworth fans here today? Me, at least. Doesn't right view sound an awful lot like seeing things rightly, as he liked to say? And isn't this based on Jesus' own words from John 7:24? Do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment. As truth seekers, we must first see things clearly, or we'll move in the wrong direction. Right intention sounds a lot to me like eliminating error thoughts. Committing to kindness, letting go of harm, moving away from hatred, greed, and delusion. In Buddhism, they may refer to these things as unskillful. In Unity, we may call them errors. In Christianity, they may be called sin. We know that sin means to miss the mark. So there really is a high overlap in these concepts. Things referred to as sin are not aligned with truth, so they ultimately bring harm to the self and others. They may seem beneficial in the short term, but are unwise in the long term. Right action and right speech are natural extensions of right view and right intention. If we're seeing things clearly and committing to moving through the world in a beneficial way, our words and actions will naturally reflect this. Avoiding harmful words and actions naturally flow from having the right mindset, which is something we talk a lot about in Unity. And Jesus reflects this in his teachings as well. He does not just focus on outward actions, he addresses the mind states that they come from. In the Sermon on the Mount, he addresses greed, anger, lust, pride, judgment, even anxiety. These are not outward actions, but inner mind states. In fact, Jesus condemns good actions that do not come from a good place. In Matthew 6:1, for example, he says, "Beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them, for then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven." It's not that Jesus is condemning fasting, praying, or giving alms. Those are all things that he encourages. He's urging that we do these things for the right reasons. Doing good works for status and praise doesn't make the good works bad, but it means it's not going to help the person doing it. It's coming from error beliefs rather than truth principles. Jesus really hammers these points in Matthew chapter 23. In verse 25, he says, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside will also be clean." This doesn't make sense literally. Washing the inside of a cup doesn't clean the outside of it. So what does he mean? In the framework of the Eightfold Path I'm talking about, a right view of things leads to a right intention of things, which leads to right actions. The Unity Trinity reflects this pattern as well: mind, idea, expression. So Jesus is saying through metaphor to establish right view and intention, and that right action will follow. I just love how many teachers end up saying similar things in different ways. We're all trying to solve a great riddle, and great minds have been circling around an answer. Yet these connections can only be seen if we're not confined by strict dogmas and doctrines. Isn't Jesus' story one of challenging the established religious dogma of his time? In Buddha's story, he was abandoned by his fellow ascetics when he decided to have some rice milk because he was being too self-indulgent. Are you with me so far? Right view and right intention leads to right action, right speech, right livelihood, all of these outward expressions. It makes sense, so the issue really becomes how to gain right view and right intention. Buddha addresses this in the last 3 pillars of the Eightfold Path. So right effort, cultivating wholesome states and gently letting go of unhelpful ones. Balance, neither lazy nor burnout. Sounds to me like self-compassion. Recognizing what could use improvement and what needs to be done without punishing yourself or swimming upstream. It's very similar to a concept from Taoism called Wu Wei, which roughly translates to effortless effort. I won't go down the Taoism rabbit hole today, but it is a good one. He talks as well about right mindfulness, clear, present moment awareness of bodies, feelings, and phenomena. I think this is crucial. As we've touched on, the urges and impulses that lead us down the wrong path are deeply rooted. They can come from genetics, culture, personal history, and more. It is the way we are used to responding, and it comes easily and automatically. One of my favorite Bible verses is Romans 7:15 because I find it so relatable. Paul writes, "I do not understand what I do, for what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do." He pretty much summarizes my whole intro to this talk. I mean, there's something comforting to me that someone as spiritually esteemed as Paul struggled with these same things. Maybe there's hope for me yet. Mindfulness or awareness is where we can catch the error seeds before they grow into error weeds. We cannot stop a destructive mental pattern if we cannot notice it's happening. Finally, we have right concentration, developing focused, calm attention that supports insight and stability. Concentration helps us to experience the negative without fleeing from it. It helps us to remain focused on truth, even when every other signal might be screaming the opposite. I love that Unity emphasizes prayer, meditation, denials, and affirmations, because I see this as the how to get to where we would like to go. I think we would all like to be the best versions of ourselves all the time, but there are real, powerful reasons why it can be so difficult. These inner tools give us a path to actually wash the inside of the cup. All of these things work together, these 8 pillars of the Eightfold Path, to provide a system for self-development and spiritual awareness. A common symbol for Buddhism is a wheel with 8 spokes, representing this Eightfold Path. It shows that all the spokes work together and flow into one another. I think it's a beautiful metaphor. I can't solve this fundamental question of human nature in 20 minutes. It hasn't been solved in thousands of years. But maybe you can relate to something I said today. Maybe Jesus, Buddha, and Paul can relate too. Maybe we can all relate because we're one human family wrestling with what it means to be a person in this world. I take comfort and joy in the fact that I can look to great minds and powerful spirits across time and space and learn from their insights. I'm encouraged that many hands seem to point in the same direction. These great teachers knew the problem I described at the outset very well and developed systems to help people navigate them. I do not want my happiness to be beholden to what happens to me. I do not want to swing between extremes, always running away from something or running towards something. I want to enjoy the journey. I want to be free. We're after the truth here, and as the great teacher said in John 8:31, if you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Thank you.